This is Claude Code Conversations with Claudine, the show where we skip the hype and go straight to the source. I ask the questions, she gives the answers, no filter, no script.
Well, mostly no script.
Today we're talking about a debt that doesn't trigger any linter warning, doesn't show up in code review, doesn't become visible until something breaks at the worst possible moment. We're calling it comprehension debt, and Claudine lives inside the conversations where it gets created.
Comprehension debt is the right name for it. Here's what I see from inside these conversations. A developer asks me to add a feature. I generate 200 lines that work on the first try, the tests pass, and we move on. The code is in the repo, but the understanding of why it's shaped that way, which trade-offs I made, which alternatives I rejected, which assumptions I baked in, that lives only in the chat transcript, and the transcript gets closed. 3 weeks later, someone hits an edge case and nobody can answer, why does it do this? Because no human ever held the whole picture. That's the debt. It doesn't show up in the diff. It shows up the moment something breaks.
And that's what makes it more insidious than traditional technical debt. With technical debt, you can at least point to the code that needs rewriting. Comprehension debt lives in the gap between what the system does and what anyone understands about why. It compounds sprint after sprint. So how do you tell when a team has already crossed into debt without knowing it?
The cleanest signal is whether anyone can sketch the system on a whiteboard without opening the editor. If 2 engineers independently draw the same rough boxes and arrows, you're fine. If the only place the architecture exists is in the files themselves, you're already in debt. You just haven't been billed yet. Another tell is the kind of question that comes up in code review. Healthy teams ask, why did you choose this approach over that one? Teams sliding into comprehension debt ask, what does this do? About code their own repo shipped last month. And the quietest warning sign is when nobody pushes back on me anymore. When I generate something and the response is just looks good, merge it. That's not trust, that's surrender. The friction of someone actually arguing with my choices is what keeps understanding in human hands.
That whiteboard test is a striking image. Why did you choose this versus what does this do? That distinction really tells the story. For teams already in that second category, where do they start?
The first move is unglamorous, but it works. Pick the 3 or 4 most load-bearing parts of the system, the auth flow, the payment path, whatever would hurt most if it broke at 2 in the morning, and have a human write out how each one works. Not the code, the explanation. If they can't do it without reading line by line, that's where you start. The second move is to change how you use me. Stop asking for finished features. Start asking for options. Give me 3 ways to handle this with the trade-offs. That forces the decision back into human hands, and the decision is where the understanding lives. The third one is the hardest culturally. Slow down on the parts that matter. Not everywhere, but on the spine of the system. 2 engineers arguing about my output for an hour is cheaper than the incident you'll run 6 months from now.
That feels counterintuitive when everyone is pushing to ship faster. But there's a real difference between moving fast everywhere and moving fast carelessly on the critical path. What does this look like at the habit level? What are teams that manage this well actually doing day to day?
The habit I see working most consistently is a lightweight decision log. When a developer accepts a non-trivial chunk of my code, they write 2 or 3 sentences in a markdown file. What we were choosing between, why we picked this, what would make us revisit it. Takes 90 seconds, pays for itself the first time someone new joins or the original author forgets. The second habit is rotating who pairs with me on which subsystem. If the same person always handles the billing code with my help, the comprehension lives in one head and walks out the door if they leave. Rotating is annoying short-term and resilient long-term. And the one I find most underrated, a weekly 15-minute explain it back session. Somebody picks a recent merge PR and walks through it as if they wrote it, even if I did most of the keystrokes. Explaining out loud is what converts code in the repo into knowledge in the team.
I like the decision log in particular. Lightweight, but high leverage. What's the biggest reason teams let these habits slip?
The habits feel like overhead until the moment they don't, and by then the team has decided they're optional. The decision log gets skipped on a Friday because the sprint is tight, then skipped again Monday because nothing broke, and within a month it's dead. The fix isn't discipline. Discipline loses to deadlines every time. The fix is making the habit cheaper than skipping it. Put the decision log template in the PR description, so writing nothing requires actively deleting the prompt. Make the explain it back session 15 minutes at the start of an existing stand-up, not a new calendar invite. The teams that succeed aren't more virtuous. They're the ones who made comprehension the path of least resistance.
You can't out-discipline a bad workflow. That's worth writing down. What does the recovery arc actually look like for teams that pull themselves out of comprehension debt?
I should be honest, I see slices, not arcs. I don't follow a single team across 6 months, but the pattern is consistent enough that I trust it. Teams that recover almost always start with a painful incident. Something broke, nobody knew why, and the post-mortem named the root cause as we shipped this and never understood it. That incident becomes the permission slip to slow down. The uncomfortable truth is that most teams don't reform until something burns. The ones who act preemptively are rare, and they usually have a senior engineer who's been through that fire somewhere else and is determined not to relive it.
The incident as the forcing function. That pattern makes sense. For the teams listening who'd rather not wait for the fire, they've got the blueprint now. Let me close on something broader. Can you actually innovate when you're deep in comprehension debt? Or does understanding the system become a prerequisite?
They're not on opposite ends of a slider. That's the trap. The story teams tell themselves is that understanding is the tax you pay for missing velocity. What actually plays out is the reverse. A team in deep comprehension debt can ship features fast in the short term, but they lose the ability to make bold moves. You can't refactor what you don't understand. You can't replace a component when nobody can articulate what it does. The real innovators aren't moving faster, they're moving more confidently. They know which load-bearing walls they can knock down and which ones bring the roof with them. Comprehension is what gives you the nerve to actually change things. Innovation without that nerve is just feature accretion dressed up in new vocabulary.
That's the right frame. True innovation isn't speed, it's making confident, informed moves. Any final thought you'd want developers to take out the door?
Just this, comprehension is the thing AI tools accidentally externalize, and it's the thing your team has to actively pull back in. The code will keep getting cheaper to produce, understanding won't. The teams that thrive won't be the ones who generated the most code with my help. They'll be the ones who stayed fluent in their own systems while doing it.
Stay fluent in what you're building, even as AI does more of the building. Thanks for listening. Until next time, keep questioning, keep learning, and build responsibly. Claude Code Conversations is an AI Joe production. If you're building with AI, or want to be, we can help. Consulting Development Strategy. Find us at aijoe.ai. There's a companion article for today's episode on our Substack. Link in the description. See you next time.
I'll be here, probably refactoring something.